Just something quick was what Jeremy shared reminded me in Judges 7 of when Gideon took his men to battle. He had 10,000 at one point, and then God said, like, let them all go get a drink. And only 300 lapped water from their hands and were still on the lookout, and the other ones let their guard down to get water. So it reminded me of that story. But what I wanted to share today is from Psalm 18. At the very beginning of the psalm, it's kind of like the introduction. It says, the Psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who addressed the words of this song to the Lord on the day when the Lord rescued him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. Later in verse 17, David says, he rescued me from my strong enemy and from those who hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They confronted me on the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. And I wanted to share this verse because this verse has given me a lot of consistent confidence these past few weeks. And I've had, I guess, the thing that stuck out to me from this verse is the day of my calamity. And I can very clearly separate a lot of my days into days of victory or days of calamity, in the sense that maybe the night before I barely got any sleep, and maybe I have like 2-a-day workouts that day, and I have a lot of assignments due. I would consider that like a day of calamity. It's like my enemies are like much bigger than me, and I'm toast. And then there's days of victory where it's like, I got 9.5 hours of sleep last night and my assignments are all done and I'm feeling great in the gym. My body is like ready to work out. And those are my days of victory. And in the past, that the difference in those days has produced a lot of like inconsistency. But I've taken a lot of heart with this verse, is that in the day of calamity, the Lord was my support. And so later in chapter 27, David says in verse 3, though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war arise against me, yet I will be confident. And I've been able to be super confident these past few weeks with many days of calamity, many days of victory. I've had confidence every day. And the biggest thing is that on the days of my calamity, it's so important for me to go to the Lord and say, Lord, I need you to support me today. And I don't have the strength, and the army is much bigger than me, but he's answered that prayer. He's been my support on those days. And I would say like the past few weeks have been some of the most consistent weeks that I've had in my entire life as far as confidence goes. I've been confident nearly every day. And it did not matter like what my circumstances were around me. So.
It says in Luke chapter 2, verse 40, that Jesus continued to grow, and I pray that I would continue to grow, that I don't stagnate. And he became strong, and I want to be strong in spirit. I pray that the Lord will strengthen me in the inner man, that I would really seek him for that. And he was increasing in wisdom. And like it says in that verse, I want to number my days and really seek for a heart of wisdom. And the grace of God was upon him. And I pray that the Lord will help me, that his grace will flow into every area of my life, beginning with my speech, that my speech would be seasoned with salt, and I would know how to respond, especially to those in my life who don't know the Lord yet. And it says in verse 51, he continued in subjection to them. And that's how I want to continue too, that I would grow in submissiveness, in submission. And I'm thankful for the shepherds the Lord's placed over my life, and even the spouse he's given me who's a covering. And I want to be soft and yielded in the Lord's hands. And it says in verse 52 of chapter 2 again, Jesus kept increasing in wisdom and stature. And I want that to be the story of my life, that I would continue to grow in wisdom, that I would continue to seek the Lord for wisdom, and in favor with God and man. And that's what it says in verse 52. And I pray that I would really humble myself before the Lord alone, to be broken before Him alone, because I want His favor in my life. And I pray that our children too will have that same spirit, that they would have that spirit of submission, that they would grow in wisdom and in the grace of God. And I thank the Lord that I can trust and rest in Him.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This week, God blessed me with a verse from Psalm 63, verse 8. In different translations, it says a little differently, but in King James, it says, Lord, I'll run hard after you. I was thinking about it, and I was in context with, Lord, what am I really running after you hard about? And God reminded me a couple of people. One is Abraham, that we speak in. We read in Romans chapter 4, one amazing verse about Abraham. Verse 19, I think. You know the story. But verse 19 really summarizes it. When his body was dead, he still believed God. He did so. In one way, we can say his faith was running hard after what God said. He was seeing every day in his body impotence, and he said, "No, but I will continue to run hard after God for what He said." And I saw also another person in John chapter 20, and this is Mary Magdalene. She goes to the tomb of Jesus early in the morning, I believe on Sunday, and she doesn't see Jesus, and she's really disappointed. She's weeping and all that, and she runs to the disciples, and I believe, wakes them up and tells them that I don't see the Lord's body. They've taken it, and everybody runs back to the tomb, and they look for a while, and they don't see it. And verse 10, John chapter 20, verse 10. So the disciples went away again to their own homes, but Mary was standing outside the tomb weeping. This again showed me another person whose faith was running hard after God. She was not satisfied. She was, if you think, she woke up early, ran to the tomb, went and woke up everybody else, ran back to the tomb, and then everybody left. So she's still standing there. She found Jesus. So what I am reminded again is that I have to run after God in my faith, in seeing that the promises He gave me, He's going to fulfill. That is what I really need to run after. This verse can be, chapter 65 verse 8, can be interpreted so many ways. So many people have written books about it. But the one thing that I'm encouraged is I want to say, Lord, in faith, I was running hard after you. I was running hard after you, believing that whatever you told about me, the promises, you will fulfill in due time. Thank you.